Good morning. Good evening, all of you.
Good
Am I
evening,
Good
audible?
evening,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hello. Good to
Good
see
evening.
all of you again. Okay, is my voice audible to all?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay. Okay, it would be good if I can have a few videos on because otherwise it's a little weird talking to myself. All right. Hi, Kosha. Okay, so without any more delay, we'll just jump into today's session. And today I'm going to do, I came across this technique. It's basically a CBT based, CBT art based technique, a very important tool which you can apply in your counseling session. So I thought of sharing with all of you. So it's called the life wheel. Now, how many of you know about art based CBT? A pretty new term. We have all heard about art therapy, but what about art based CBT? Can someone just maybe unmute or type in? Do you know anything about art based CBT? Yes, no, anything? No? Okay. I'll just quickly go through it. We all know about cognitive behavior therapy. It's more to do with a lot of introspection work, writing, and a lot of, a reflection of your behavior and actions. So what we are doing here is sometimes it might just get very boring. For CBT based counseling sessions, what happens is there's so much of writing that maybe sometimes clients might lose connect. So what we try to infuse here is a little bit of coloring, a little bit of drawing, so that you get the flow. Okay, and it becomes much more interesting to work upon. Along with that, we'll be doing a lot of introspection after we are done with the art part. So you don't need to be an artist in order to take up art therapy, and it becomes less challenging for the client also to face this particular tool, because you'll be talking about just simple coloring or just drawing diagrams and something similar, which is more constructive rather than letting them do whatever they want to. So in art-based therapy, it's more about a free flow, but here we are giving it more structure to the entire activity. It serves two purposes. It makes the client feel more, composed if their thoughts are too scattered, and it will help in major introspective, reflections. Okay, so taking it forward, you can see this particular diagram. This is like a web. It's a huge circle, and it has different sections to it and different, concentric circles. Now, based on this particular circle, can you tell me how it's related to mandalas, if someone knows how mandalas are related to the self, or what can we understand through mandalas? This idea or concept is actually borrowed from mandalas. So, can someone reflect? Anyone who would like to reflect? Maybe you can write it down in the chat box as well. That would do.
Ma'am, mandalas are mainly circular diagrams where we can make various designs, and we try to make it very symmetric. So I guess from there's means symmetry and organization, and making it an organized pattern. It has some connection, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
So fine motor
you
skills
can.
are used over there.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Fine motor skills.
Okay, but do you know what mandalas are basically? That circle represents
Uh,
what?
Mandalas are they are like different shapes of circles,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which shows how life moves.
Absolutely.
From a dot, it starts, and
Yes.
with a very simple lifestyle, we move away to a very complex lifestyle, or a complex type of thinking.
Right, right, right. Thank you so much for this reflection. Of course, mandalas, we start from a dot. It's represented that way, that we start from zero. or nothingness, and then we project our lives in a lot of vibrance. Okay, so we are expanding day in and day out from our birth till our last breath. So, taking the concept from mandalas, we have borrowed the life wheel, which we'll be talking about. Now, I'll be showing you what all things you need to first work on. You can always get this template, but it would be great if you can ask your clients or whoever you're working in, or for yourself, to draw it out. Okay, so I hope you have a paper, pencil, and simple colors and all. If you don't have, you can just go and get it. I'll give you a minute. Right. I hope my desk is visible to all of you. Is the paper visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
I've already drawn a circle with a tea plate, but you can make bigger circles if you want to. It's absolutely your choice. Okay, so while you're making this, I'll just give you a little bit more insight as to what is art-based CBT. It's basically fusing the two methodologies, the two ways of counseling. It's not wholly art-based, not wholly CBT. So it gives interesting inputs, or the activity becomes much more interesting, and it works both with logical people as well as people who are more into creative arts. So it serves both purposes, and that's why it has an added advantage to it. So I hope you've got all your papers and all. So what you do is draw a circle. You can draw a bigger circle if you want to. And around it, you can draw another circle, which we'll mark off as you can see on the screen, the template which is given to you. Okay. The next step, what you'll do is draw lines across, and we'll make 8 sections. Right? So we'll make 8 sections. The first line, you can start anywhere you want to. There's no right or wrong, but I'm giving you a little bit of structure so that you can work on more comfortably. You marked off the midpoint. From there, you draw sections, intersections of lines, and make into 8 parts. Okay. You'll get this template if you feel that it would be easier to work with children. Children will have difficulty drawing this. You can use the template to give it to them. And I'll come to the age group part, where these areas might change. Depending on the age group, it might change, and you can tweak around with whichever you want to explore. Okay, so I've got this.
Done, ma'am.
Done. Okay, let me know if you're done. I'll just play some music. It becomes easier.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, great.
Ma'am, do we need to put the labels also, like finance, family relations?
Yeah, I'll be discussing one by one, and then we'll put it. Okay. So I'll tell you which age groups you can cater to this, and you can modify accordingly. Right. So this particular mandala, which you can see on the life wheel, basically, which you can see on the screen, is for adolescents. Okay, and young adults, if we may say, those who are still in school or college, which you can cater to. You can tweak around the areas. Career remains the same for adults also, but younger children, you can modify it to be as academics or studies, whichever simple form you can give in to them. So we'll start off with maybe career. For that section, first of all, before we start off with this portion, what you need to do is you can see small, small concentric circles. You can draw those circles as well, but if it becomes cumbersome, you can just scale it down. Say 0 to 10. Okay, so you can put small, small, like the thermometer or the scale you have, this markings you can make. Okay, so I'll be making the scale accordingly. So we'll start with a point in the middle, which is the 0 point. This is the 0 point, and then we'll move upward to make the scale. So it would be like 1 equal, try to make it equidistant. 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and the 10. So you can make a scale. Can you see? So this would be your scale for all of the spokes. Okay, you can do only one, and then accordingly you can fill up the others. Right? So now we start off with career. We take the first section and we mark off as career. We can write it on top. Right on top, we can write it down. After which, you'll ask the person that on a scale of 0 to 10, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, how do you feel you stand on the scale as per your career? Okay, what do you feel where you stand on the scale? 0 being the least or nothing at all. It's like your mind is totally blank. To a 10, that means you have achieved what you wanted in life. Okay, you're wholly satisfied. You're totally very happy with whatever career you are into and whatever you are doing. So based on your own introspection for the time being, since you all are all professional law students, you can put in as to how much effort you're putting and where you stand in your career decision. Okay, those who are not into a job as well, is your academics at par with whatever you want to pursue? You have plans for the future, but are you filling up that expectation, or are you walking on that path correctly or not? What do you feel about the current situation? Now you can take any color. It's given orange here. You can take your color choice and maybe mark off and put an arc. Okay. So say for instance, it's maybe a 7 for me. So as per my desires or my aspirations, I still feel there's a lot of scope to grow. So I put a 7 here, or maybe a 6 also, or maybe in between. It can be any point in the line. Okay, that would be wholly up to you. If the person asks you, if your client asks you that, you tell me how I'm faring or this and that, especially students will come and tell you that this is the marks I get, so how much do you feel I stand here? But you're going to insist on them making the choice. You can give an example though, but do not give your own viewpoint at this point of time. So it should be totally non-directive at this juncture and non-judgmental. Okay. So what I do is color this entire portion. See, benefits of coloring, it's going to fixate you to the activity. So it's going to be a little, the person will take their mind off from other worries and they can concentrate on this coloring. Crayons, these crayons work very well because it's less messy. You can also use pencil colors.
Ma'am, which portion should we color? That is between 7 and 8, right? Okay.
I have done this 7, so I'm going to color the inner portion.
Inner portion.
So I've traveled this entire, journey.
Got it.
I feel I have achieved a little bit, but there's still scope to grow. Some might give the highest. They're very happy. You can very well understand where they stand. Okay. Some may give very low, 2 or 3. Even if they have achieved a lot, they might just give themselves a 2 or 3. That reflects that they are totally dissatisfied with their jobs or their academics or whatever career aspirations they have.
Ma'am, if a person has 0, then he or she will not color anything, right?
Sorry, I didn't get you. Please repeat.
If a person is saying
Mhm.
that in the zero where he is thinking that he or she has not achieved anything as per them, so they
Mhm.
will not color anything.
No, they will not color, but very rarely you'll get someone who's saying zero. Especially students will give you this idea that I've not decided anything about my career. I'm totally clueless. So maybe that will be also a conversation starter for you. Okay, I'll come to that part. How you can lead your introspection questions and conversations after they are done with this wheel.
Um,
So I'm yeah. Yes,
yeah,
any more questions?
yeah. I can give the point like what I'm perceiving or what I'm thinking now. That's one point
Mhm.
only I can market.
Mhm. So you will know where exactly you stand. So zero means nothing, and 10 means the highest possible achievement you can have for career. We're only looking at the career. I drew the wrong part, so I'm going to cancel this off and write career here. So this is what my one portion of the wheel looks like for my career goals, or what my you know stand is. Next we go to finance. For students, you can put it in a different way as to whatever you think for your career is, will it suffice the amount of money you want to earn, or what are your material needs? In future, what will be your material needs? You can put this section as finance. For adults, of course, those who are working, even those who are not working, even for homemakers, the women who will be coming to you, or even men who are not into a job, their financial state, how do they kind of gauge that? Okay, so for this also similarly, a 10-point scale you
Ma'am,
can.
can you explain that finance part once again
Yeah.
for the adolescents?
Adolescence, you can state that as per your career options, how do you see yourself earning in the future? Say for instance, a child comes and tells you that I want to earn maybe 1 lakh per month when I grow up, when I get my first job, or whatever the thing is, but his career options are limited to maybe a 30 or a 40K per month. Okay, so you can see a great disparity between the two. So once you reflect on that, those who are coming for career decisions or maybe career counseling, this will be a very important portion to reflect upon. That what are your career goals and does it match your earning expectations or not? Okay, so based on that, they are going to put their reflection on this. Say for instance, this case only, which I talked about, a child wants to earn 1 lakh per month, but whatever job scenarios are there as per the career is just 30K. Okay, so they have to mark it very low because the disparity is very high between the two. And then you can initiate thought processes as to how you can modify your career aspirations, or what can be the other channels in order to achieve what you want in the future. Okay, so
Ma'am,
that would be a.
can I ask one question?
Hmm.
Suppose an adolescent is dreaming to become something, maybe he or she is currently staying in India, but that person, he or she is not sure whether he or she will pursue his or her higher studies in India or abroad. So the finance condition might differ according to the countries also. So in that case, uh, do that person need to specify that I want to see myself settling my career in abroad or in India?
Yes, of course, of course. See, this example only, if, say for psychology, I take the example of psychology. In India, there's very little scope. Maybe you start off with the 20K, 25K, 30K max to max, but the person wants to earn 1 lakh when they start off, or an 80K per month. So you can give options as to how that can be achieved. For the time being, it's very low. The expectation should be low for finance, whatever career options she has right at this moment. But of course, as ma'am was saying, that abroad, if she wants to pursue certain things where she can be paid higher, she needs to explore beyond the opportunities which is offered there. So that can initiate a lot of conversation and brainstorming and as to how to achieve it. Because most of the time we have seen the students or even young adults, they are totally clueless as to what pay package they will be getting. And that leads to a lot of wrong decisions. Okay, for children, you can have it in a different way. You can, totally discard this portion finance and include something else. Okay, we'll talk about it a little later. The finance part for adults is very clear as to where your financial condition is, or how you feel you're faring in your finances, or do you think you can, bring up a lot more than what you're expecting. Okay, a person who is established in life but also scoring very low, that means the person needs to have more earning opportunities. That might be a source of stress or insecurity for the person. Okay, so it would be a very subtle way of understanding how they feel financially secure. Okay, many a times, many clients do not want to talk about it much and open up in front of a counselor, but this will give you proper leads as to what they think about their finances. Okay, so this portion also you can color off as like earlier. The
Excuse me,
next
ma'am.
part, yes, ma'am, tell me.
Ma'am, does the color signify anything? Means
No, no,
finance, green,
no,
talent.
no, no, nothing at all. No, no. Color here doesn't signify, it's just a coloring method. It's just a key. If we have to infuse color psychology here, then it becomes very, very elaborate. So we'll just stick to our own color keys without attaching any meaning. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
I'll come up with a color psychology short uh, workshop for you all, just to know the basics very soon. So this done. Can we move on to the family part? This is also done. You can color it off, and then we go to family. Now here you will see family and relations. Okay. Family relations are very different because family, it would be more to do with your immediate family members, like your father, mother, siblings, daughter, son, husband, wife. These are the family members, brothers, sisters. So this immediately comes under family, and at the max, also your grandparents, at the max your close relatives. Okay, if they are very important, they are staying together, they all come under family. Relationship is different, I'll come to that afterwards. So just focus on these members. Okay, so for family it is red.
For family, we need to consider
Family
that
means
how much the person is attached to the family members, or the equation they share with their family members, or what?
Yes, for family, it has to be the relationship, the kind of relationship you share with your family members. Okay, if you want to consider only one person in mind, say the spouse, okay, the husband or the wife, or maybe the daughter, many a times people will come with different problems. Okay, say for instance, someone is having marital problems, someone is having issues with their children, someone is having issues adjusting with their in-laws. Okay, so immediate family would comprise of those particular set of people with whom they are facing constant tiffs. Okay, so maybe you can give in a clue here as to a person who's with whom they are having conflicts, or with whom they feel they are the closest. Okay, so that, or an overall scenario as to how well they are adjusted in their families. Say, for instance, a person who feels insecure in a family setup, or maybe a teenager who's having constant trouble with their parents. Okay, they might just score themselves very low. They are not very well bonded with their parents. Or maybe a woman who's staying with her husband but not very comfortable, so they might just score very low. Or if there are no apparent reasons or apparent problems with the family, you can just leave it as for their choice, for an overall situation in the family, how well they are bonded. So the better they are bonded, the higher they will color, and it will go up upwards till here. Okay, if they feel that the family is very supportive, very caring, they look after each other well, it goes higher. And the lower coloring determines that there are certain issues where the person doesn't feel safe around family members.
Ma'am, suppose somebody is imagining only one family member and then doing the thing, and that person can also take an average outlook, like how I feel,
Yes.
uh, for taking into consideration all the family members in general. So,
Right.
does that person need to tell me about that, or I need to ask that person that what you are considering in this case?
You can always guide. See, CBT is also for guiding the person. It's more structured, so you can give them proper clues as to what they want to focus on. If you already know about their issues or the chief complaint areas, you can understand or gauge as to what can be the problem, and you can probe them to look into a particular person under concern. Okay, or maybe if you feel that there are certain issues which they are not opening up, you can just probe as to what might be the dynamics between the two of you, or maybe the family members around them. Through this, you'll be able to know whether family is supportive enough or not. Okay, if people have scored very low or they have colored minimal over there, you might just lead the question as to what kind of support they are getting. Okay, because people who are coming to you will have a lot of distress in them. So if they don't have proper support from their family members, they might just land up being even more distressed. So with time, you can work on this area as well. Okay, after introspection questions, which I'll be sharing with you, you can probe on and see how things can get better with support. Okay. The next one is relation. Now, relation can be with it can be a romantic relation, it can be a friendship, it can be a relation, maybe an acquaintance which they have just started off, a new relation. It can be any form of relation apart from the family. Okay. Or it might be a general um, perspective as to how well the person is connected with people around them apart from the family. Say a teenager who's coming to you, they've scored very low in family, but relationships they've scored very high with other people around them. So it clearly reflects that they are more outgoing with and more comfortable with outsiders rather than the family, and that there needs to have certain interventions there. Why the person feels secluded from the family? There can be several other introspection areas. Yeah, right. So
Ma'am,
you're yes. Tell me.
the that you told that if a person is scoring low in family and high in case of relations, the person is extro. But it can be like that the person is only attached to one person outside the family, maybe his or her romantic partner.
Absolutely.
The person may not be
Um,
extrovert in that case.
yes, absolutely. It can be that. Relationships can be anything, ranging from romantic to peer to anyone outside the family. But overall, if you are seeing that there's no specific pattern, but the person has scored higher with relationships rather than family, it might reflect that the person seeks outward approval more often. It's more about not getting comfort from family members, but when they are with other people around them, maybe their friends or extended friend circles or acquaintances or office colleagues or even their partners, they're much more comfortable with them. Okay, and you'll see if there's a whole lot of disparity, someone who scored very low in family and very high in relationship, there'll be a whole lot of disparity. Then it gives even more important clues.
Ma'am, what if the other way around, like they have very low in case of relations and very high in case of family?
There might be certain reasons behind it. One can be that the person is extremely introverted, doesn't like socializing. There can be if they have scored very low. I had a student who scored very low in relationships but moderate on family. They were socially withdrawn, they never used to talk, they were totally secluded. Okay, So that might reflect a form of anxiety related to social interactions. It might come up in patients who are going through agoraphobia or some form of anxiety disorders where they do not want to interact much. It can be also a reflection of extreme introverted personality. When we do the introspection questions, you'll see a lot is coming out from there. So these are basically, this activity is basically for a conversation starter, because you'll get the whole life picture of the person, and you can take up each portion and discuss maybe in every session. You can structure your sessions that way, and you'll get various permutation combinations. It's not only stipulated to one. So once we are done with relations, we'll move on to health. Now, health here, you might just make another section here, because health we'll talk about as being physical health and personal well-being. So I've made a small bifurcation. I hope you can see me. So I've made a small divide here. You can have physical health and mental health. So you can put that way. Okay. I'll color it, maybe I'm just taking purple and blue. Blue for physical health. This is a more of a straightforward thing, so there's nothing much to reflect on. Physical health, how the person is keeping physically, whether there's proper exercise or not, whether there's proper diet or not. Okay, how they're feeling lately, whether they are sleeping well or not. So you can just brief them about that, and then they can color in how they're feeling physically, whether they are fit or not. And mental health would be how they're feeling, how their mood is, whether it's more often low, or they're okay with things, or they're extremely depressed, or major mood swings. So this will also give you a clue as to what to work on. Okay, overall, how they are feeling or where they stand as per their mental health, whether they are taking care of their mental health or not. You may skip the mental health part if you have clients who are already depressed, they've already expressed. So there's nothing much to explain here. So you can skip that part and only focus on physical health. Okay, that's optional. So colored. Next is your social aspects. Now, here is an interconnection between your relations and social aspects as well. Okay, how well you are connected with the society, whether you take part in societal activities, whether you are, actively participating in certain social activities or not. This will reflect that. So for me, I'm compelled to go out. If I'm talking about myself, it's more like a compulsion for me to go on social gatherings and all, but I do not prefer going out. So I would rather score myself low, because it's just a pressure through which I go through the moment I have to go for a social gathering. So if I have to introspect on that, it's not my will. It's just to, suffice others' requests or demands. I would rather score myself low on this. Okay. I'm not more of a social person who likes going out, talking to other people, going out often, dinner, this, that. More of a private person who prefers to be at home and do their things. It can be totally opposite for other people. They can score themselves very high.
Ma'am, can we connect this with introvertness?
Not exactly. Introvertism is totally different, but it keeps on changing with life events. If I have to talk about my college life, I would rather score myself a 10 on this area. But now it's more like I like to be more private to myself and do my own things. But in college, it was a totally different thing. Personality hasn't changed, but situations around it enables a person to change from time to time. Okay, so introverts will generally score a low over here. Extroverts may also do that. So it's not always
Okay.
related to the personality. And
Fine.
this will give
Thank
you
you.
important clues. Okay, this will give you
Hmm.
important clues. Once we finish, we'll talk about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is personal growth.
Ma'am, just one question. Like,
Yes.
as you say, like I go out with only with selective people. Like, I don't dinner with only few people, like two or three people, and then hang out with only few people. So I will also score less then.
Yes. How
Okay,
do
thank
you
you.
feel? I'm not supposed to tell you, okay? But it would be like if you feel fulfilled about those people, then you can score yourself as high.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's a very personalized. These wheels are very personalized. It is not common for all, personality patterns, or not common for everyone. That this is the perfect situation where you can score yourself high, and this is a situation where you can score yourself low. As per your feeling that whether I'm social or not, even if it's with one person or two people, then also do I feel fulfilled? Okay, are
Hmm.
people bothering me to be more social? There can be families where they keep on pestering you, go out, go out, go out, mix with people, talk to people, you need to attend ceremonies, this, that. But there are also family members who will be supportive, and they'll support you with whatever you want. So in that case, you can score yourself as to be high. Maybe you just go out maybe once or twice with your own people, but no one forces you. As I told you, people, there can be situations, varying situations. So if you feel forced, then you can score yourself a little low, okay, or lower. And if you feel that yes,
Yes.
you're free to mix or go out and be with people as per your own needs, then you can score yourself higher.
Ma'am, if it's some
Okay.
person who goes out only with one or two people, selected people, it is there, but his or her family forces him to go out
So
with,
that can be poor social interactions. Okay,
yeah,
you
then
have
that
to
will
score
be low.
yourself. Yes, yes. Next is your personal growth. So under personal growth, you will have a lot to do with self-care, a lot to do with how you are, progressing in life. Basically, overall situation where you're doing a lot of things for your own benefit, your own growth. Okay, whether you are reading a lot, whether you are expanding your knowledge, whether you're working on yourself, whether you know your in and outs, and whether you know your loopholes and your strengths. People with very low self-esteem will score themselves to be very low, but at the same time, if they're working on it, if they are already aware of things and they are ready to modify certain things or transform certain things, then they might just score higher. Personal growth, if there's a constant striving to achieve something, to grow more holistically, then they score higher. And it changes from situation to situation, from time to time as well. So there might be some people who were really good at certain things, especially people who are not working right now, ladies who are not working right now. They were very good at one particular thing, but after marriage or after certain drawbacks in their life or certain major events, they have stopped totally working on themselves. Okay, and they start feeling negative about it. So their personal growth has somewhere stopped. So if you see someone who's putting as very low, they've colored very little, that will be a cue in order to explore that area of life. That might lead to certain causes as to why they're feeling so low, or might be the reasons behind the negative emotions or the problems which are surfacing in life. Okay, after this is done. Now the last part is attitude. Now attitude doesn't mean what kind of attitude you are showing, but attitude means either a positive outlook towards life or a negative outlook towards life. So it can be like even in times of worries or tensions, I keep a very positive outlook as to things will get better. I work on them. I try to problem solve. On the other hand, there can be people who will be always cribbing in spite of having everything. They'll be not satisfied with what they have, or in times of distress, they get easily worried. Catastrophic thinking, overthinking. So they might just score themselves low. Okay, there will be people who will have a lot of negative thoughts in their mind. Okay, so you give them cues as to how they can score on this scale. So even in times of distress, if you feel that yes, you keep up a lot of positive attitude, because that will also show the resilience of the person, the capacity to bounce back even after hardships, or even if they're facing certain difficult situations, they won't easily give up. So that's them to decide how much they want to score. But you can always give them examples. Especially for students, it is very important here, because they have just started off with life, and what kind of attitude will determine what pace they grow. People who are into depression, anxiety, you'll see themselves scoring very low on this, because the catastrophic thinking will always be present in them. So we have completed this entire wheel. You can see how, maybe if you want to at all, show on screen, if you want to, totally your choice. If you want to share it. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, now comes the last part to it. And from here, this is not actually the last part, because through this, you're going to get a lot of insight as to what exactly is happening in their lives and how they can, pull up themselves. So if we look at the introspection questions here, after this is done, what you can do is just give them time to look at the graph, and ask them to see where they have scored the highest. Okay, which one is the highest? Maybe they can number it. So for me, relations and attitude have scored the highest there, and the lowest. I've scored physical health to be the lowest, followed by social. Maybe the lowest is physical health. Okay, so for you as well, see which one you have scored the highest and which one you have scored the lowest. Okay.
Ma'am, you can have more than one in
Yes,
US.
yes, absolutely. Once you get this template, it would be easier, because you'll know exactly where you have colored in. This becomes a little difficult because we did not do the scaling properly. But once you get the template, if you can keep a printout, it becomes easier to color in and understand. But more or less, you'll be able to understand which one is highest and which one is the lowest. Okay, so for the time being, you'll focus on the lowest first. try to understand why you have scored yourself lowest here. Okay. What are the reasons? Maybe you can write in. If you color code it below, this will be the CBT part. All this while we have been doing the CBT, the thinking part, as well as the coloring part, which is based on the art therapy, mandala. But now we'll move on to a lot to do with the CBT questions. So you can frame it for them, or they can derive their own questions, introspection, where they will write it on the paper or maybe on a separate sheet of paper. So if I have to take the physical health to be the lowest, I'll try to introspect as to why it's low. Okay, and what are the consequences? Okay, so I might have a lot of insecurities related to the lowest, rated one. So I'll just write down what all things are bothering me, or what all things are making me stay in that space for pretty long now. Okay, so someone who have written, say, personal growth to be the lowest, what is making them stay in that? What are the factors which are not enabling them to move forward? What is blocking them? So they need to write that down in whichever area you have scored yourself low. So maybe you can keep 2-3 lines, and then they can write down the factors which are maintaining that state. Those are called maintaining factors in CBT. Neither are you degrading. Maybe with time you'll degrade if you don't do anything about it. Neither are you progressing. So those are the maintaining factors which are letting you to be at that point. So for me, it would be lack of exercise, a major lack in time, lack of time, if I have to introspect on this, and a lack of energy, of course. Now from here, you'll get clues as to why there's lack of time, why there's lack of energy, and why can't I exercise. So why can't I exercise would be followed by these two, lack of time and lack of energy. So one particular thread of thought will give rise to other threads of thought, which you can take up in your counseling sessions. Can someone share if you want to at all? If you would like to talk about your introspection?
If someone...
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, please. Please go ahead.
So, ma'am, is it necessary that a psychologically happy or healthy person needs to score a high in every
No.
field or every situation?
Not at all. Not at all. It's totally based on your own introspection. I may not have a psychological disorder, I may not be in distress, but this is basically applicable to all and all age groups beyond, say, 10 years of age, that they can understand what is what. So this would give you a clear picture as to how you stand in life and what are the things which you need to work on. Okay, and what are the things which you are really proud of, or you already have it with you and you can maintain it throughout your life. You can stand on that. Okay, so this is not only for people who are suffering, or those who are not, in proper state of mind. It can be for everyone. Yes, anyone who would like to share their introspection?
For me, ma'am, the lowest are social and family. First of all, because I don't have a proper communication with my family. Even if I live with them, there is a communication gap.
Okay.
For that reason,
so you have identified that.
Yes, I have. I know that.
Okay.
And social, I am very selective with people whom I am totally frank. I must say that I don't go out generally. If I go out, there is only with particular people. For that reason, it's low. And also my family doesn't
But are
like
you
this fact.
distressed for that?
No,
Okay.
but my family is there who is constantly telling me that why don't you go out, why don't you why don't you mix with people and all. For that reason, it somewhat distresses me from their end, but not from my end. I am happy as the way I am.
Okay, that will do then. Okay, so a lot to do with how you're interacting, maybe the communication channel. So that will give you a clue as to what to work on. Okay, and try to figure out why there's a lack of communication between you and your family members. That will give you even more clues as to what to work on and restructure your thought, which we generally do in CBT. Okay,
Yeah.
so these are basically antecedent factors which is leading to the behavior.
Ma'am, it may be there
And
that for one factor, means for the family, social is getting affected, but or the vice
yes,
versa.
yes, of course. It is everything is interconnected. Like after you write down that, in physical health for me, I've written down what is actually causing me to stay in that position for a very long time. So once I figure out what can be the consequences if I don't change, the next question which you'll ask yourself, like in the lowest area, what are the consequences if you stay in that place for maybe the next 6 months or maybe a year or in the long term? If you don't do anything about it, what can be the consequences? So you can write down that as well. If I have to write, my work will be hampered. I might get, even more lethargic, or I might just fall even more sick and not feel good about myself. So this would be my takeaway if I don't work on this any further. So it might be that there might not be major, what do I say, major repercussions or consequences. So the ABC model, if we keep on thinking about, A means antecedent behavior, what led to this? For my case, it would be lack of time. My maintaining factors would be that I don't exercise, I don't have energy and all. The behavioral output is I'm becoming more lethargic and kind of loathing myself not to work on this. And the consequence, the actions, the consequences C for this model would be that I might just even fall more sick or might not feel, I might just have low self esteem. So this would be my ABC. So for you as well, wherever you have scored low, try to figure out what led to that problem, what is maintaining that problem, and what it might lead to. A for antecedent, B for behavior, and C for consequence. So what might happen if I don't work on this? How serious can this get? Okay, and quantify the seriousness of the consequence. Again, on a scale of 1 to 10, you can quantify as to how important it is for me to change this area of my life. Or what all small steps can I take in order to level up maybe a little bit more? If I've scored, say, a 4 year, what should I do to level up to a 5? So this will be a continuous process for you.
Ma'am, can you repeat on that quantification part?
Quantification in the sense, I'm saying the consequence which you have written. For me, if I take an example, that I might just feel, the self-esteem might get low. So how will it affect me? It might affect me drastically. So if I have to quantify it on a scale of 1 to 10, I will mark this problem as to be an 8 or a 9 for me, which has like serious consequences in future. So I would rather start off right now. Okay, so if it's so serious for me, it's so important for me, that means I have to start off right now. So what I can do in order to step up, say I've given myself a 4, what can I do in order to level up to a 5? Okay, so level up to a 5, maybe I can start light exercises at home. For me, maybe a 10-15 minute spurt. For you, if it's a social interaction or if it's a relationship problem or family or whatever area you have scored low, what can be those small changes, a baby step in order to level up one scale? Okay, and try to do it for a month and see if you are feeling that yes, you have stepped up, and then that point of time you can color off that portion. Okay, the next few questions which are there, what changes are in your hands? Like what are the things which you can change in social interactions, in family, In relationships, there are many factors which is out of your locus of control. There are two locus of control. First is your own self, what you can change. It's called the internal locus of control. And something which you can't change is called external locus of control. That means it's not in your hands. So we'll try to figure out what can I do. I can't change my timings because I'm working full time. So I can't do much about it. But what can I do with myself in order to level up? Maybe I can just slot out 15 minutes and then work on this. That would be some change which will roll the ball, and then I can modify it as and when I require and see if there are any changes or not. What you can't change and what you can change. These are the two questions which you can ask, and you can start working on what you can change. And further sessions, more deeper you go into CBT sessions, you can start restructuring the thoughts as to how you can reframe your thoughts, whatever is not in your control. That is what is done in CBT. And how difficult will the change be? How much effort do I need to put in? If I have to talk about myself, not much of an effort. If 10 minutes I can squeeze out from my entire schedule, it's nothing. But that will also keep me working, and keep me much more fitter and happier. So for you as well, minute changes, how difficult will it be? The first step is generally the most difficult because you have to start off at one point of time. So this will help you to start off and understand where you are lagging behind. Okay, and what you need to work on. And whichever you have scored the highest, that will reflect as to how you have achieved it. Talk about, after you are wrapping up the entire session, because things can get very heavy while you're talking. And while you're wrapping up, you can focus on the areas where they have scored high and as to how they have achieved it. Okay, that will make them feel much more better as to what they are doing in order to maintain their position, or whether they are happy about it or not, whether they are satisfied or not, whether they would like to work further on it or not. Say, for instance, if a person wants more money or more fame or more concrete relationships, even after marking them very high, that would reflect that the person is concentrating way more than required on a particular area. And why is it so? Why is it so important to work on that particular area even further? Okay, that can lead to a lot of questions about insecurity types, types of insecurities which the person is facing. So I think this is it. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
So I scored low in relations and finance. Finance, I could understand that at this point, as I'm a student. So I think that I can do it better as I get into job and everything. So I can do it better. But in case of relations, with my family, in family it's nearly 7. So I think I can do more better and all. But in relations with others, my friends, etc., it's quite low. But it's in my mind that I don't want to change that. And I don't think that it would affect anything in my life. And not because there are certain circumstances are like that, that it's not changing for a few years. And I think that it could change further. I don't know how to change that as well. So what about that mindset, that fixed mindset that I have?
Yes. See, if you are comfortable being there, if you feel it's low and you don't want to much work on it because you feel that there's an external locus of control for the time being, it's okay to be there unless and until it's bothering you or distressing you. You ask yourself the questions about the consequences, what may happen, and then rate the consequences, because that is important. Right now, how you're feeling, you already know that yes, after this exercise, I know how I stand in my life and what are the areas I need to work on. But if I stay in this same position for a very long period of time, will it affect me? And if it's a yes, then how much is going to affect me? If it's a way more, it's a very deep situation for you that you'll not do well in life if you are stuck to this position, then you need to start working and thinking about how you can gradually modify bit by bit. Maybe not immediately, maybe in the near future where things are much more under control. Okay, so It might not be an immediate effect, but of course it is good to have plans. Just give you an example. Some children, when students or adolescents, when they come, they have extreme difficult situations with their, family members, parents. But what they feel is, once I, start going to college or university, I'll be in a better place. So that is my aim, and what all things I need to do in order to reach that. Okay, so this is not a short term thing, but a long term thing where they can work on and gradually change what is not right now under their control, because they can't change their parents, of course, but they can gradually plan their future accordingly, so that they are kind of not in constant, interactions, or not in constant demand for each other. Okay, that power struggle is missing once they walk out of the house and be in university and colleges. So similarly, might just work out with you as well. When you start earning on your own, independent, then you can take your own decision. So that would be your life plan, not an immediate plan, but later on. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Hello. Yes, ma'am. So, in this set of questions, should we overall discuss with other section also in the session?
Sorry, I didn't. I missed out a little bit. Can you repeat, please?
Yes, ma'am. We should also discuss with these questions with other section also.
Yes, if you feel that yes, you need to work on other things also. Why I said lowest and highest is because they are extremes. In between, also, you can go on to each of the portions and ask the person how they feel about it. What are the reasons they have scored maybe a high or a low? Okay, so that might be the case.
And ma'am, how can we change the domains for children and for maybe old age people?
Old age people in the sense? See, domains you can change as per their needs. Maybe for old age people, it's more about financial security, their relationship with their children or their grandchildren, and what they think holistically about their life. Maybe the spiritual part also you can work on, or how much fulfilled they are about their personal growth or personal well-being. Maybe the physical health part. These are the emphasis which you can have. The mental health part, physical health part, you can remove a few other things if you want to. So tweak around as per your need. It depends on the person also who's coming to you. Okay, you can modify as per whatever you feel would be sufficing the client.
So we can reduce the domains to 8 or to 6, or if we want to increase it to 10 also.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone writes, don't you think it's better to ask the client what they want to work on first rather than the lowest? Yes, that would be also a good thing, but lowest and highest, as I said, it's the extreme points. So you can start off at any point of time. You can start off from wherever they started working on. It can be from attitude, it can be personal growth, whichever way. It's absolutely an open choice.
Ma'am, can it be like this, that the client is not writing about the introspection part? He is or she is only telling it, and I, being the therapist, is writing. Can it be like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It can be that.
Okay.
Ma'am, it could be even possible, like suppose in one part, okay, a person is trying to improve on, but simultaneously it may happen in the another area, it may get reduced. Like suppose a person is trying to improve in the family area, right? And it's quite possible then in the career wise, he may be little low there. So is that possible?
It is possible, ma'am. Any permutation combination is possible. Okay, so you just need to enable the person to introspect, because you're just going to guide them. It would be more of a non-directive way you'll be following up the counseling sessions. This is a very structured method. First of all, this is a directive CBT based, where we are infusing art therapy also. Not art therapy, but art interventions. As per need, you will be structuring your counseling sessions in a non-directive way. You give them an open choice as to what they want to work on. As ma'am said, that you can start off asking the client what they would like to change first of all. Maybe you can give certain insights as to what they can start off from the lowest to the highest point. People who are very confused as to where to start off, you can give a directive way of counseling. Those who are more or less okay with things, those who are enabling themselves to introspect, they can start off in a very non-directive way of counseling. You can use the client-centered therapy, okay, where you're just acting as a motivator, not as an advisor. So once you start doing this with other people, once you do it with yourself, first ask yourself those few questions which I stated on, and it's not an exhaustive one. You can frame your own questions as per the needs of your client. Okay, once you start introspecting, writing it down, having a proper documentation of everything, you'll see how easily you can start working on. And you'll have a very clear mindset as to what I need to work on, what I need to park for the timing, and what I can't do anything about. So I just forget about it for the timing. Maybe later on in future, I can rethink and revisit this and see where I stand again. This would be a great way of starting off a session, counseling session, when you're starting off with your clients, and then you're concluding with your clients, because you'll see a lot of differences once they're finishing off your sessions. It will be a good closure also.
Hi, Priya.
Hello. Yes, tell me.
Hello. Okay. Hi. Actually, I'm a doctor. I'm a palliative care doctor, basically.
Right.
So, I have issue with a family relation,
Mm-hmm.
and it has started off late only, not
Okay.
earlier. So now, what is happening is, I had a very difficult childhood and
Okay.
traumatic also. And in
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in that thing, I had this thing that I have to become something. So I worked like
Mm-hmm.
really hard, and in adverse
Mm-hmm.
situations I stayed in, and I finally became a doctor. That was
Mm-hmm.
okay. So, and after that also, like, family was supportive in one way, but never emotionally or mentally. There was no emotional or mental support per se. Now, what has happened is I never
Right.
used to feel about it, but now since my sister-in-law has come in the house, now
Mm-hmm.
everybody is like, more cared, and they're caring for her a lot, and they're concerned about her. So I always have this thing towards my parents and my brother, everybody. He means how can they treat their daughter or sister? And now they're so much concerned about that other girl. So I mean, kind of, jealousy, anger, that
Right.
I had to struggle so much, and I'm still struggling so much because this field is not very easy, because every day you see dying patients dying, and
Right.
they are terminally
Right.
ill. So now, how it is affecting my work is like when patient starts crying now. So rather than, I mean, I also feel so sad, and I also feel like crying out, and it's kind of like I choked on my emotions. Rather than comforting them, it is happening with me a lot. So I don't know like how to overcome this thing. Every time whenever I speak with my parents something, so I'm always angry ki,
Right.
why they were so hard, and there is not much difference between me and my brother. So now suddenly within 2 years, how things have changed so much, so I don't know how to deal with
Right.
that emotion. I'm finding it very, very hard.
See, in a general way, this is a very personal problem which you have been speaking about, personal issue, in fact. So, in a general way, in the most general way, what I may suggest is try introspecting about your anger. Okay, and how is it affecting you? What are the consequences? What has led to the anger is now very clear to you. uh, it's maintaining, how can you break that maintenance factor and move ahead, and what can be the consequences if you start controlling your anger? Because here we see a lot of external locus of control which you cannot control at this moment. Okay, there are a lot of external factors which is not in your hands. So it would be a good way to start off from within, from yourself. Okay, and since you have identified that your behavioral consequences are a lot of anger outbursts, jealousy, and the like, which is of course justified, you may start working on a lot of gratitude, forgiveness, which may just lessen your stress for the timing. And then once your mind is calmer, you can start working on the relationships and also think whether you're required to start afresh with your parents or not, or whether it's okay, you may find your own way of peace. Okay, so alternatives to it. If you want to, you may just DM me personally, but this would be a point to start off, basically. I
Okay,
hope
I'll
that
do
helps.
that.
Try
I'll
it, try.
DM you personally. Yeah. Thank you.
Someone writes, ma'am, if in case a client is falsely rating the scale, then what do see? You'll get many cases, especially adolescents who are falsely rating themselves. Okay, and even adults do it. So again, it depends on your expertise as to how you're going to take it up. You have to believe what they are doing, but again, this will be an activity which will open up their eyes. Even if they are falsely rating it, they themselves will know I have falsely rated it, and these are the areas where I need to work on. So that thought process starts. To initiate the thought process, you have to do this. Okay, so even if they're falsely rating it, but some work in the background is being done, so don't worry about it. It would be a good way of opening up conversations, rapport building conversations, and giving you certain cues as to where to start off. All right, I hope this was of use to you. And for the next class, I'll be taking it, maybe we have written it tomorrow, but there are certain urgent work which is scheduled tomorrow. So I'll be taking up the next session, the anxiety mapping. I'll be taking it on Wednesday, 11 a.m. So in the morning, Wednesday. We'll be sending out mails again with the time, and you can access it through this same link. Okay, thank you so much.
Ma'am, no
Priya, ma'am,
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll send across the recording. It will be uploaded on YouTube, and please follow our channel. It keeps us motivated to even come up with different things. And I also get excited to share with you all. So please do follow our YouTube channel. And thank you once again. I'll be uploading it by the end of the day on our channel. So you can see the recording in case you want to rerun the entire thing and also share it with your colleagues.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Certificates we'll send after Wednesday because we have already got your registrations. So we'll send it after we are done with the second day of this.
Thank you. So, ma'am,
Thank
on
you.
Wednesday,
Bye-bye.
11
All of you,
a.m.
take care. Sorry?
Ma'am, Wednesday, 11 a.m. Next session.
Wednesday, 11. Yeah, right.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.